I'm Specstar. Here's Charizard, and this is a card story. So when I found this card, it was unappreciated. I got it for $15. The owner couldn't believe I was even paying that for it given the condition. As you guys can see, it's a little rough, but the artwork is actually still beautiful, and if you ask me, that is by far the most important part. Also interesting is that the e-reader parts are looking very solid. That was something back when this card came out you could use to play with it, and it is something that tanked very quickly, which is why you do not find many cards that look like this. But this Charizard was actually the card people 20 years ago, and can you believe already 20 years this thing has been around? How old does that make all of us? But 20 years ago, this was the hot pull card in the Expedition set. There was a regular Charizard, which was weaker than this and did not come in holo. You could get that card, and then you would be able to play this Charizard on top of it, and it would go from, I believe, 50 or 60 damage to 120, and its health would go from 100 to 120. Now, this card is extremely rare, and as a Charizard, it's very hard to, very expensive, and it's very hard to find. There aren't many Charizards quite like it. This card, the cheapest one you'll find on TCG Player, is actually 90 bucks. Mine is beat up pretty good and it's in rough condition, but I have found a buyer who will pay 75 for it. So that is 6 times what I paid for it. You gotta remember, even if your card looks beat up, it still had a story. Back in the day, kids were pulling and this was making their day to find this guy. And I am glad that this card is going to go from beat up in some old box somewhere to being appreciated the way that it was back in its heyday. And this is a card story. Have yourselves a great night.